We're back with another episode. We're back with another episode of Britt Says. How are you guys doing this week? Or how was your weekend? I hope everything is going good. It's a Monday and I had a good week. For the most part, I would say. I think I had a good week. I don't know. I didn't do much crazy. Did I do anything crazy? Nah, I didn't do too much. I mean, it's still chill. It's still very chill. Like, we're not living in COVID, but we living in COVID. So it's not like every day or other days are like crazy. I did enjoy how last week, I told you guys a story and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. But, I got new things going on. So this is new thing I do now. Because I like saying gang, gang, gang. Or whatever the case may be. So before I used to do this. I'm ratchet. I'm weird. I'm everything. I used to do this. Gang, 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 gang. Actually, first I used to throw up the blood sign. I used to be like gang, 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 gang. Then I was like, I'm not gang affiliated. I'm not blood, so maybe I shouldn't be doing that. So then I started doing gang, 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 gang. This is getting ratchet. Now I do gang, 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 or whatever. And Femi hates when I do that. It's mad funny. Whatever the case may be. So I was watching something or whatever. I don't want to get into what I was watching. It's not a big deal, but whatever. And I heard that this means some like demonic shit. Then my cousin was telling me, my cousin was telling her this mean white power type shit. Then I heard it mean rock, or it meant rock and roll. Then, bitch. Then they said this mean I love you in sign language. I said, you know what? I don't have time to be doing anything that means something demonic. So I had to dead that shit altogether. So I had to stop doing that because I'm like, I don't got time to be doing nothing demonic on my head, honey. Like, I'm not doing that. And my thing is like, y'all all couldn't have thought of nothing different. Like, why does this mean, well, whatever, this or this? Why does this mean so many different things? Like, y'all couldn't have got creative. Like, I could come up with mad different stuff, like, for each thing. Like, the sign language company, like, why would y'all make this I love you or whatever? It's this one. Y'all could have just made it a heart. Simple, straight to the point. White power. Why does this mean white power? If it does, allegedly. Why don't I just do the W? Straight to the point. Like, I don't have time. For demonic stuff, I have ideas, but I won't be promoting it because I don't want no demon shit on my head. Okay. And I feel like the rock and roll people should keep this shit because it's weird. It don't make no sense. I don't get who came up with the idea. I think the rock and roll people keep the weird shit. Besides that, like, I feel like I just came up with all of that in like not even a minute, maybe a couple of seconds. And I just feel like we need to be a little more creative. So now I'm on my cowabunga shit. This mean cowabunga. I don't even know if I'm saying cowabunga right. The surfer people, they be doing this. So I be doing this or whatever. Like when I be dancing, when I be jamming, I be on my cowabunga shit, period. I heard it mean no worries. Something, stop worrying. So I do this. I need to get my shit together. Yeah, that's my new shit. So I'm just warning y'all because I know a lot of y'all be on this type of time. And that's fine. If you want to do it, you can do it. I don't want no demon shit on my head unless I'm on demon time. You feel me? Bitch, I'm on demon time. Straightforward, I don't need a line. I don't. Okay, we're done. We're not doing it anymore. I see today I got the water again. I don't got the tea like I had last week because it's actually late. I'm filming late. And I don't feel like drinking tea in the night. It's not wrong with drinking tea in the night. I'm just not in the mood for tea right now. But, child, what we gonna do? What we talking about this week? So, this week, the episode is called See, I'm trying. And it's basically like about when is confrontation needed and when is it not needed. You know what I'm saying? And I say this to say, because you know how like I came up with this topic because you know how sometimes you'll be somewhere, maybe you out and somebody do something you don't like, and it's like, Lord, I'm trying to work on myself. Should I turn up or not? Help me please, help me please. But then sometimes, even God is like, I need you to, say something. So it's a time and a place for everything. And we're going to talk about that, We're going to get into it. And, the topics are a little heavy, beginning of the episode. But it gets very light starting next week. So you guys definitely should tune in next week. But anyway, before every topic, what do we like to do? We like to expand our minds. Expand your mind, expand your mind, expand your mind. So, in an article on the website is not here, but I'll find out. Titled, How to Master the Art of Any Confrontation and Completely Resolve Any Issue. Anthony Moore writes, mastering confrontation is difficult. No doubt about it. Some of the most successful, powerful, and imposing individuals have a hard time with it. You may have met one or two people in your life who seemed wired for it, but they are not the norm. The other 99% of us usually have a really hard time expressing how we feel in a straightforward and frank manner that resolves conflict. Sadly, most people are living completely confrontationless lives. They don't speak up when they should. They don't stand up for themselves because it's simply too scary, too intimidating. The result, they're unhappy with anxiety and stress has become chronic. All right, so last season we talked about being passive aggressive, and this gives off similar energy, but the difference is with this topic, we're literally I wouldn't say this topic is somebody who's passive aggressive. It's more so a person who's not passive aggressive, a person who might be confrontational. You might be a confrontational ass person, and you need to know when to stop and when to, argue, when to not argue. So this is more so a topic for, the person that's, you're not scared of confrontation, and you can watch because you'll still learn something even if you're not, you are scared of confrontation. You're not really scared of confrontation, but you just don't know when you should just chill. Pretty much. So, why does being confrontational seem so bad, though it seems it's often needed? All right, the thing with confrontation is that it seems bad because I feel like confrontation comes with an aggressive connotation, and aggression is not something you want to often portray. But when you're being confrontational, it has a little bit of aggression to it. Even when some people are confrontational with a little sarcasm or a little what's that word? Those people who are confrontational but they stay mad calm, like they're they're trying to be okay, well, I don't like that. It still has this energy that's very, aggressive. And so I feel like it's bad because most people don't want to be in that moment. Like, I feel like, yeah, we've all had moments where we've been probably confrontational. But have you ever been somewhere and you're the person who's not in the confrontation and you see two people kind of going at it? Doesn't it kind of make your heart beat fast? It might not be extremely fast, but it's just, your energy level starts going up. So it's this type of thing. Confrontation creates this type of energy where you feel, and it gives a certain energy in a room. When people are arguing or having a dispute or having a debate, whether they're yelling or not, it changes the energy of a room. So I feel like that's why confrontation comes off bad, and it doesn't usually change the energy in a room with good reason, right? You know, it usually makes everybody feel like we gotta be turned up, like what's about to happen? Should I go home? Should I stay? Should I calm everybody down? Like, it usually comes with this sort of energy in the room where you feel like, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe I should say something. Maybe how do I calm this down? It usually isn't something where it makes people happy, right? Like when you see people argue, does it make you happy? I mean, it's probably a group of y'all that's into that. Maybe, I don't know. And yes, confrontation is sometimes needed. Yes, it is. I feel like it's healthy sometimes. But like I said, it does, you know, give the certain energy in a room. I feel like it's needed because I remember one time when I was in therapy like a couple of years ago, and she was telling me, like, you know how like some couples don't argue in front of their kids or whatever the case would be. And me personally, I've never seen my parents have an argument, not that I can recall, maybe. So she was like, see, that's why I like for sometimes couples to argue in front of their kids. Nothing too crazy, because it shows you can have an argument and still wake up the next morning and bounce back from it and still be in love and still carry on a relationship long and long and long. Of course not if it's a toxic argument, because there could be toxic arguments. I've seen some toxic shit, you know, not from my parents, just other couples in general. Yeah, some arguments can be toxic, but we can have, what's something that's not toxic? Like, can you please put stuff away when you take it out? That's not a toxic argument. It's just an argument, a confrontation. I don't even like argument, dispute, a disagreement. And you know, the husband or the wife, because you know, sometimes, you know, us as women, we don't put stuff back, right? We might do our makeup and don't put the makeup away. You know, we could be equally as messy. So basically, if she was saying, like, you know, it's good to see healthy confrontation. And you know, I could have a dispute and be like, hey, you never put nothing back. You need to put stuff back after you use it. Oh my God, you always complain it. Then, you know, you know, and it's okay, you know, to have confrontation. I feel like no relationship, and on here, when I talk about relationships, I talk about all type of relationships. I think that we kind of mesh the word relationship with couples, like man and woman, like people who are dating, you know, like a relationship or whatever the case may be, whomever you date. I think that's what we kind of put relationships. When I talk relationships, I talk about friendships, because a friendship is a relationship. I talk about families, you know, families, that's a certain type of relationship. So it's all relationships, your work relationships, when I say relationships. So I think, so I just want to put that out here there too, that confrontation is healthy in any relationship, right? Nothing is extremely perfect. It's virtually impossible, like impossible to not have confrontation to me. Like, I think that's my personal opinion. I literally think it's virtually impossible not to have confrontation. Like, and I wonder if that sounds crazy to people, like, why we have to argue. I know there's probably some people outside in the world that if they was to hear this episode, like, why do we need to argue? Why we can't just have a regular day? Why we can't, I'm not saying argue every day, that's number one, but some people would prefer to just live without confrontation. And I could see that, I could respect that somebody might want to live like that, because like I said, when confrontation starts, with a dispute, a disagreement, a debate starts, it changes the energy in the room. It changes the energy in a person. And some people don't like that energy. Some people don't like that feeling. So I definitely could see why one would want a life without confrontation. And like I said, I just think it's healthy because we're all different. We all have different upbringing. Even, you know, you can have a brother or sister and y'all both grew up in the same exact household, but y'all still in some ways have different upbringings because you guys might go to different schools. You might get different friends. When you have relationships, y'all can't date the same person. That relationship that you had forms you and shapes you. Everything you've been through forms you and shapes you. So I feel like because we're all different, we all have different ideologies and different ideas on things. And this is what causes, you know, confrontation. Even just like, for instance, in a relationship, when you living with somebody, right? You know, you might be accustomed to, I don't know, making sure dishes are washed before you go to sleep. He might be accustomed to just, you know, wash his dishes before they stink or something. Not saying that goes on in my household. I'm just making an example. I have experienced stuff like that with roommates or whatever. But and those are things you have to live with. But that's because that's how we were brought up differently. So because we were brought up differently, is those type of things might start an argument. And to one, that the person who doesn't mind leaving dishes in the sink for 3 days, right? In their head, they might think, why does it bother her so much that we don't wash the dishes every day? That is so much work. Washing dishes every day. Oh my God, who is doing that? Right? But it just goes to show how people are just different. Those are gonna start arguments. You might love the crap out of that person, besides that aspect, and that's just what it is. Like, that is just simply what it is. Like, it's nothing we could really do. Like, we all are just so different that it's destined to cause confrontation. You know, that's just what I think. How do you know when to ignore someone and when to really put someone in their place? Well, you know, that's the big basis topic of this episode, right? You know, recently I had to learn, I would say had to learn. I'm learning that I gotta ignore some things, you know, just in general, because I'm dealing with some high blood pressure. And I just, you know, have like a lot of regrets about things. And I just feel like a lot of things cause stress, and everything is not a means to argue. And you also gotta know too, like, cause sometimes some stuff requires confrontation. You also gotta know too when, like, I'm trying to word it right, like, should I get into an argument right now? You get what I'm saying? Like, meaning like, oh, or can it be a compromise? Or can you just say, okay? Meaning like, whatever it is that you want to get upset about, and let's say this person asks you to do something or they won't do something. Is it really, really, really worth your energy for you to bring this up and start a confrontation? And that's meaning taking L's. If you don't say L's, L's mean losses. You can't always have a win. And when I say that, I mean, let me give an example. Okay, in the house, that was a real example. You know, for me, I wonder, like, because I remember season 1, he would watch the episodes sometimes, but he be slipping up. Or he'll watch them like 5 days later and then bring up something. But anyway, like, for me, he likes to like leave stuff laying everywhere. I'm cleaning the house, right? So old me, I would be like, yo, you left this here, da da da, like, you can't pick this up, blah 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 blah, right? So these things are gonna consistently cause me stress and anxiety when I can just pick it up and put it away, right? And I know some like, nah, I'm not doing that. I ain't nobody made. But how big of a problem is that? For some of you, you might say to yourself, that's a big, big problem. Do I have discussions like, yo, if I catch him in a moment, then I'll say something. If I don't, if he already left to work and I'm home, because I'm not currently working right now. So I'm home all day, right? I could pick up something while he on his way to work that he left on the table. But you know, that to me is annoying, but it's not something worth getting my blood pressure up over, if that makes sense. Like, I can't afford to have my blood boil over that. Like, for real. I'm sorry. Like, and to some, you like, it's about respect, and it is about respect. And sometimes you gotta learn how to do things so that you could avoid confrontation. So, like, I noticed one day that he was leaving stuff around all the time. So, no, he left a lot of stuff around in the morning. I don't know what happened. Oh, his day off, he just left everything around. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna clean up the house so that when he comes home from work and turn on the light, he could see that impact of the mess he made, and then he cleaned up. So sometimes you gotta show people, like, why is this annoying? Why is this bothering me? Sometimes you gotta be petty or be ignorant, and you can leave the house a mess. Don't leave it a mess permanently, but just let the person see, like, you see how this is impactful, vice versa, causing an argument. Granted, that could cause an argument depending on the type of person you're in a relationship with. Like, they might be crazy and they may be like, yo, why would you leave the house unless you couldn't put this stuff away from me, da da da. It's like, no, I just wanted to show you, like, this is the type of stuff you're doing and it's not right. So I think you gotta pick and choose your battles. Like, what's big and what's small, you know. Certain things are really big to certain people. I think, believe it or not, a lot of things are small. A lot of things are not needed for, you know, confrontation. In a relationship, I think something that's big for confrontation, personally to me, you know, are real life issues like infidelity. I think that is a means to have a confrontation. Let's get into argument today, tomorrow, next week. Changes in behavior. Okay, let me say one thing too. First, address it, right? Bring it up nicely first, and then if it continues, it might be time. It's gonna be an argument. There might be some confrontation, you know. So one of the first things to grab is first bring it up nicely. I think a lot of times people often skip the step of talking, just say it nicely. Like, you know, in retail, you could get a write-up, right? Before you get written up, there's steps, right? There's a verbal warning, then a written warning, and then a final warning, you know? So there's different steps to, you know, warning somebody. 3 steps in a relationship is a lot. You feel me? I'm gonna give you 1 and then I'm gonna give you 2. You get what I'm saying? Oh, actually, you know what? It is 3 steps because, you know what? 3 steps is fair because a verbal one is like, hey, you keep coming to work late. Don't make it happen again. And then the written one is when you document it. Like, I'm documenting you for coming late, blase, blase. If you do it again, you can get your final warning. And final warning means, bitch, you're fired. Like, that's your final warning. We're not warning you again. You're done. So it's like, I'm verbally telling you, look, I think you doing some shaky shit. And some people is not going to give you, I'm just giving an example. I know there's some women out there that's like, ain't no verbal warning for cheating. You know, in marriages, some people do let you slide after you cheat once. There is actually a verbal one. Like, you did this to me, you broke my heart, you hurt me. I'm going to give you a second chance because we got long love, strong love. And then you give them, I don't know about no written warning. I don't know how y'all going to do it. Yeah, now. Because the written warning might be the divorce papers, bitch. That might be the written in the final, right? So, I mean, you have to bring it up first before you start yelling. You know how crazy you look like? Because you don't never know what's going on. And that's the reason why you have to bring certain stuff up. Because, you ever, like, notice a change in a person? Like, anybody, even a friend or something. Like, you keep noticing changes. And I'm like, you might, I don't know, let's say, example, you might notice they're not inviting you anywhere no more, or they're not answering your phone calls or text messages or something like that, of that nature, right? And one day, you know, it's just getting to you, it's nagging you, right? And instead of, you know, asking that person like, oh, how you been? Granted, they're ignoring your phone calls and text, so whatever. Granted, instead of asking them like, oh, I've been noticing, you know, you've been ignoring me lately, la 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 la, you just lash out like, you dead, keep ignoring me, you're fake, you're a phony ass person, blah 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 blah, you're fucking done with you, blah 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 blah. Right? Now you done blacked on this person. You ain't even see like, yo, like, what's good? You didn't ask no questions, bitch. They probably done freaking some crazy shit that happened. And remember, we talked about that. Like, you gotta ease into confrontation. Then after you say it, if they do it again, then I feel like it's a means of a turn up. Because not a turn up, it's up to you. Everybody confrontates differently. Some people want to yell, some people want to scream, some people want to be simple, some people want to be simplistic. It's all up to you. And like I said, you know, certain things, when do we know when to ignore someone? It's all about the size of the issue. That's how I look at it. It's like, what is the size of this issue to you? But the thing is, because we're all so different, I can't really tell you what's a small issue. Like, I can't tell you that, because certain stuff that might be small to me might be big to someone else. And I feel like issues are subjective. They really are. Because maybe certain things are a trigger for you. I don't know everyone's life. So it's really hard to determine what's small and what's big. That might be a podcast episode. Like, what's the small issue? What's the big issue? I don't know. I can't really, you know, determine. So it's really hard to determine, you know, what's a big issue and what's a little issue, because we're all so different. We all have our own, you know, triggers and things like that. So it's just like really hard to know. And if, you know, we all are moody. If you want to put somebody in their place, then do so. But I do think, and some people might disagree with me on this, I do think everybody deserves a chance. And some people who are like, I ain't giving you no chances, I'm letting you know, boom, right off the rip. Because I think first, you need to figure out the situation. And then after that, you can, you know, figure out, it's time for me to approach you on something you're saying or something you're doing, whatever the case may be. Like, it's all about gauging. But I do think problems or whatever your issues are so subjective. It's hard to determine what's big and what's considered small. How would I know when I'm an actual confrontational person? Oh my God, that is too funny. That's a good question, because some people are dead ass mad confrontational. Like, if you get into something all the freaking time, like you should know. Like, if you done had an argument with everybody in your life, like, it's people I can name that I've never had a problem with in my life. Like, it's some people that literally everyone close to them or that's around them, they've gotten into it with them, or they've offended everybody around them. Well, it's hard to not offend people sometimes, too, believe it or not. But if you literally, or like even people that's not close to you, shit, you in some mess with them, like, you know what I'm saying? It's something you gotta like know, like, why, or if you even, you know what else could teach you that you might be a confrontational person? If you like get into it with people that you might not be close to often. Like, say it was like, yo, just last week you just got into it with da da da, then this week you did it with da 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 da, then when we went out to that party last week you was in it with da 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 da. Like, it's something you kind of like need to pay attention to, because that means like you letting everything get to you. If you're confrontational, like, that means you're just everything is just running through you. Like, everything is upsetting you. Everything is causing you stress. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be in nothing that's, have a life where you're constantly arguing. Do you know, I forgot like the statistics, but I know that arguing could, like, that stuff mess with your heart, your anxiety, your stress. Like, I have read too that after someone has an argument, they are, like, no exaggeration, like 4 times more likely to have a heart attack in 2 hours. Now, I know some of y'all like, what? Like, because people argue all the time. But you'll be surprised, sometimes people don't, like, people argue every day, but some people don't argue all the time. So it's like, you randomly see somebody die from a heart attack or whatever. And people be fighting and they still be living. They be done had 20,000 fights, bitch, and just living. But they say that. And I think we live in a time too where a lot of us don't really know our blood pressure. We don't really go to the doctor. Like, things happen, and bitch, next thing you know, you done had a heart attack, had a stroke. Or because you love arguing, bitch. So it's crazy out here. Like, it's real life crazy out here. Yeah, I definitely read that. I was like, what? That's fascinating. So yeah, I mean, you it's something to really, really pay attention to make sure you're not a confrontational person. It's obvious to know if you're a confrontational person if you're constantly getting into arguments with people, but we don't really notice the things that we do, if that makes sense. We don't. Sometimes we don't really, notice our behavior. It's like, I notice things about me that I may not notice. Or sometimes people bring up things and I'm like, wow, I never noticed that I did that. And so, they bring it up. And I hope that all of us to have good support systems around us and people who keep it real with us. And we'll talk about that this season. But people around us that'll be open and honest with us. But, it's so much stuff we're going to talk about this season. It's funny how everything just lines up. A lot of times we don't want to hear our personality defects and things like that. And we need it. And sometimes somebody might tell you something about yourself and you just don't want to believe it. And you have to believe it. Or take it for a grain of salt. Because I had somebody tell me something and I'm like, that's not true. What I did was I had somebody tell me something and then I asked several people and then the person made me look crazy. I don't fuck with that person no more. Period. But I'm just saying, like, when somebody says something to you, think about it as well. Like, oh yeah, yesterday I did, and then the other day I did, and then the other, like, take everything, word for word. But yeah, if you are confrontational, like I said, if you finally discover, like, oh my God, I'm confrontational, I think that's something you should definitely nip in the butt. You cannot allow everything to be a means of an argument, a dispute. And not even argument. I think sometimes we think of confrontational, that is being confrontational. You think of yelling like, yo, da da da, like, or that tone is elevated. I'm talking about even debates. Sometimes people like to debate. You ain't gotta have an open debate with every motherfucking body, bitch. Like, if somebody have an opinion and you don't agree with it, sometimes let that opinion sit there right at the table and don't state yours. Because you might know the type of person they are. You might know where this might lead to. You might know where this discussion might head. Not everything you need to talk about, you need to discuss. Stop. Literally, even a debate or a little small chit chat of discussions, just nip it in the butt. Because anything can turn into confrontational or become confrontational. I think we kind of, it's debatable what is a confrontation and what is not a confrontation, right? I think, there is a difference between confrontation and disagreement. But a disagreement could get a little rowdy too, right? Because you know how people have an argument and then they be like, we didn't have an argument, we had a disagreement. Like, motherfuckers, y'all was talking a little too loud. Okay? You're talking too loud. That's not a disagreement. That sounds like an argument. Like, stop. We wasn't arguing, we had a little disagreement, and you know, no, I don't know. Because y'all up like up here. But I mean, things could lead to I think even without yelling, certain things are confrontation. Like, especially we living in that time, like especially like millennials, we are so petty, we are so nonchalant and sarcastic, you know. So a lot of times we're not yelling. We don't find that cute, you know. We find it more compelling to keep a monotone tone and you know, do that whole, well, I just feel like, you know, that talk, like, oh, I didn't know that. We do a lot of that, and then it might lead to yelling because then the other person might think you're trying to be funny and they're not interested in the funny. But a lot of stuff can be considered confrontation without yelling. And if you realize you're a confrontational person, that is definitely something you should address, even for, you know, your future life. And also, let's get into the real tea. Even though, you know, I'm talking about confrontation in all aspects with just people that you're close to. If you're confrontational out in the street, hello, good morning. Motherfuckers is getting shot every day for being confrontational. You feel me? Like, you the type of person that you get into arguments with people in the motherfucking street, bitch. You driving, you got road rage, and motherfuckers is just capping motherfuckers in the ass over that. You just lost your life over some dumb shit. Like, real talk. Like, that's why everybody cannot be confrontational. Being confrontational is a time and a place. Because you don't know what people going through. You know what people got in their car. You know what people got in their motherfucking pocket, bitch. Somebody might slice your ass, $1.50 your whole fucking life, bitch. Now you got a scar because you got mad. I don't know. Somebody bumped into you. But that shit do be giving somebody bumping me and don't say excuse me. That's kind of a means of a confrontation, bitch. And see, it's just like, you gotta feel the energy though, because somebody might bump into you and you could tell that they crazy. Like you could tell they eyes, motherfucker, bitch, they fucking crazy. Like, a person that'll bump into you and don't say excuse me, unless, you know what, I was gonna say something racist. It's not racist. Bitch, I was gonna say unless they Asian, because you know, when I used to work in Flushing, New York is in Queens, a lot of Asian people live, it's basically predominantly Asian. They're so accustomed to the hustle and bustle. They walk, they bump into people, they don't say sorry. They bump into not just black people, they bump into their own kind. They be fucking motherfuckers up in the street, bitch, just to get to where they gotta go. And I ain't into it. You know, they good for that. But you could look at somebody and tell, like, oh, they're fucking crazy. They bumped into me on purpose. But yeah, we gotta be careful. If you have a conversation with people out in the street, bitch, you better be careful. You be careful with me. Like, y'all motherfuckers better be careful, because it's gonna be that one motherfucking person that's a nutcase. They gonna shoot your shit up. They might call some people, come up there, jump your ass. So yeah, if you confrontation, you definitely need to nip that shit in the butt and figure it out. Definitely. Why do I feel sometimes confrontation is needed? Cause, like, not to say it like that, but cause sometimes it just is. Like I said, like in the beginning of the episode, it's like, we gotta talk. And I understand that people say, like, you can have a discussion without yelling. And not every conversation requires yelling, so I don't like saying that. We can have, sometimes people disagree. Like, we're all different. Like, we all disagree, but we got, sometimes you might agree to disagree, and that's fair, and that's fine. Like, you know, and sometimes you might. Have you ever had a conversation where y'all both ended up agreeing on the same thing? Or you was able to persuade someone? Motherfuckers got high ass ego, so that's rare, very rare. I can't think of one now, but I don't know. That's good. I could say I've had disputes where we came to a compromise or things like that. I can't think, if somebody was like persuaded me. So I'm the type of person that I get persuaded with life. Like something might happen, I'll be like, wow, now I get it, type shit. It's just, but like I said, conversation is needed sometimes because sometimes people don't see certain stuff through a different lens. Like for instance, this is a big one, but see, we was just talking about when something is a small situation, a big situation. People who say Black Lives Matter, and then people say all lives matter. Now I gotta have a discussion with you as to why the term all lives matter is disrespectful. And then you might talk to somebody, I don't know if it's rare, that says all lives matter, and they might say, you know what, now I get why you find that phrase offensive and stuff like that. So it's just that type of thing. The confrontation was needed. The dispute, it was needed. What if I'm in a situation where confrontation is needed, but I don't want to do it? That could dead ass happen, where you actually dead ass should get lit, but you just not in the mood. But if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Don't do nothing that's gonna stress you out. Arguing is stressful. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. Period. Like, if you feel like you're gonna look stupid, you're gonna look pussy, blah blah blah, it's gonna fuck with your ego, it's gonna fuck with you later, don't do nothing you don't ever want to do, bitch. That's how I look at it. Like, if you don't want to do something, don't do it. Cause then you're gonna do it and then you're gonna fuck up. Your argument is gonna be trash, it's gonna be thraka. Like, it's just pointless. Like, don't ever do something you don't want to do. Like, if you don't feel like it, then don't. Even if it's dead ass legitimately needed, like, don't do it. Let me put my phone on silent. Y'all already know how I give it up. But if you don't want to argue, then don't. That's how I look at it. I stand by that statement 100%. Whether it looks really bad, because somebody might come to you and be like, you should have balked on her, or you should have balked. I hate her. You should have. I hate her. You should have, or I would have, bitch. Cause bitch, you don't know what you would have did. Don't you hate people like that? If it was me, I would have did that. You don't fucking know what you would have did because you wasn't in the situation. And like, I really, really hate it. I would motherfucker. Depending on the situation, because sometimes you're like, if you give advice, like what I would have did is I would have probably filled out an application first. Like, I'm so in a professional stance, it's okay to do what I would have done. But when people like, you know how you was against a fight, or you had an argument, or something happened, somebody, me, I would have beat that bitch ass. No, fuck you wouldn't have. Like, stop. You wouldn't have did nothing. Stop. Oh, I hate it. I would have, bitch. Like, you wouldn't have did nothing. You probably would have did the same shit I did. Like, stop. I hate people. I would have beat her ass. You wouldn't have beat nobody, motherfucker. When you hit a certain age, I feel like by like 25, you start getting nervous to go to jail, bitch. Unless you really hood, you wouldn't have beat nobody motherfucking ass. You wouldn't have did nothing. You would have been mad scared to go to jail. You'd been mad scared that bitch would press charges. You would have been mad scared that she would have accidentally killed the bitch. Like, stop. Oh, I can't stand it. I would have. You wouldn't have did shit. Period. But like I said, if you don't want to do something, don't do it. Even if the confrontation is needed and that person's getting out of character, walk away. If that's what you want to do, then honey, then do it. Don't do nothing you don't want to do. And this lovely life that we live in, it is not, I repeat, it is not worth it. Why can't we all just get along? And that goes to why do we need confrontation? I mean, like I said, we all grow up mad different. So it's impossible for us to not have disagreements and confrontations. It's impossible. I think it's virtually impossible. And I'm scared, like, even if like I said, I think I said this before, if I met somebody who was in a relationship and they never like had an argument, I would be scared of them. I would be very frightened. I just think it's virtually impossible to not have disagreements in this world. Like, imagine, would it be dope though? Would it be dope if we all just got along? Interesting. It might be dope if we all just got along. I wonder if we could live in a world where we all just agreed. No, because then what would commentary TV be? Like, how could we have commentary? How could we? It would just suck. Is that toxic? If we all just agreed, ugh, it would be so exhausting. I can't imagine a life without it, but I can't imagine a life without confrontation. But can I imagine a life? But I can't imagine a life with it. I don't know. I feel like if we lived in a world with no confrontation, we basically would be like being fake. Like, it would just be all of us being mad fake, because it's so many things that go on that we really legitimately disagree with, and some of us have good ass points, you know, and then there's other things that we it just would be, I think none of us would be happy. It's impossible, because a lot of times it's certain stuff that I don't like that the camera keep on focusing. It's certain things that I don't agree with, but when somebody explains to me their side, I'm like, that's a good point, but I still don't agree with that shit. And I don't know, it's impossible. Life is so weird. Like, we all have our own experiences and our own ideologies, and just everything about us is so different from each other that it's impossible. It's so impossible. We can't just all get along, unfortunately, because we all grow up differently. We're all very different. From the moment we come out the womb, our life is just destined to be different from one another's life. So we can't just all get along. Party people, confrontation is needed. And like, I know we all trying. See, I'm trying not to be confrontational. If you're trying to be confrontational, you know, it's just impossible for us to all get along all the time. But I hope you grabbed a lot out of this episode. I definitely did. And yeah, subscribe, hit the like button, post notification bells. If you're streaming, can you give me like 5 stars and leave a comment or what? And yes, I will see you guys next week.